I always like to start by asking a very simple question. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very well. I'm okay. I can't complain.
I read that because we have we had these crazy 2 years, but you kind of liked being home and being able to spend time with family and being a bit creative. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah, well, yeah, a bit of both. I mean,
Okay.
the first bit was amazing because I never get to spend that much time at home.
Right.
And the weather was really good. So those two things together just made the first bit like quite amazing. I felt like it was like a little sort of stop on the whole world, you know, and it was a good thing. I think the whole world needed it at that point. Anyway, give everyone a shake up. But yeah, the second part was tough. When, you know, it was the second half of the whole thing. And I started to struggle. I went downhill quite quick.
Okay.
I struggled with mental health massively. But I never really dealt with myself because I've never had that much time off. But I've come out the other side feeling a lot better than I did before, actually. Even though it was painful, it's good, you know, and I just came out of it feeling really lucky. Like, there's so many people in the world right now who are screwed because of this. So
Sure.
I'm just grateful that I can still make music, and I was able to use the opportunity of time and write some songs and put this greatest hits album together. So it was good. It was really good for me. It was productive. And it gave me some time to assess everything.
Yeah, and part of that, I suppose, and especially with the Greatest Hits album, is you start reflecting, and then not just you, but I think the whole world started reflecting a little bit on what they had been doing up until that point. So for you, what were the first things that came to your mind when you started to kind of assess your career or assess your musical kind of output?
I mean, initially, I didn't really have any thoughts about my career really until I saw, you know, well, I did, but they weren't loud. I never voiced them. I was always slightly embarrassed about my career. And then going into the studio, I didn't feel that at all. I felt really proud. I felt like not bad for someone who was like 20, 21. Didn't really know what I was doing. I just went at it with everything I could go at it with, and it worked out. And I came away from it feeling real proud, like, I must have done all right. Like, people know enough of the songs, and they're personal to the fans. You know, like there's certain songs that they just love when it's a real important time in their life, whether it's someone being born or someone dying, and so that was a nice feeling to know that I've sort of infiltrated people's subconscious on a level that is deeper than just pop music on the radio, and that's always what I wanted to do, really. You know, yeah. On one hand, have a song that people remember, and the tune's memorable, and the words are simple. But on the other hand, if you get it right, it can go into people's lives, you know, and that's what I like. Is when they take the songs on board, like, oh, they play it at their wedding or they play it at a funeral, or yeah.
Is it difficult to see that side of it when you're in it? I don't know if that makes sense, but when you're releasing these albums and touring all over the world and having that big success, can you kind of set yourself aside and enjoy these moments for what they are, or is it only now that you can kind of look back at them and enjoy it?
Yeah, I'd say it's only now, really.
Okay.
In the beginning, you're on such a treadmill that you're just trying to fulfill everything you need to fulfill. You know, you're trying to do all the TV shows, you're trying to do as many radios as you can do, you're trying to do as many interviews and meet as many fans as you can meet, and you just get burnout. You just get burnout from it. It's a lot of work in the first, you know, to go from, you sort of, you know, you put a lot of effort into the writing and getting, you know, interest from labels and stuff like that. And then once you get the interest and they want to sign you, then it steps up again. And then once you put your album out, then it steps up again. So it's a long period of time, probably, a year and a half, maybe 2 years of doing that. And then all of a sudden you're out into the world and your album's out, people know who you are, and you haven't really got time to deal with the aftermath. You're just in it then. And I'm not in any way, shape or form complaining. It's more like I just didn't really know how to deal with it. And it stopped me enjoying the process of like gigs, and it stopped me enjoying performing because I was just so nervous about it all, and sort of I never really had time to recover physically, from the voice. So that first year or two was just like graft, like really hard graft, and sort of and shit in my pants for ages. Just feeling like I'm nervous and scared, and now I don't have any of that as much. Like I use the fear as fire now, and I sort of turn it around into a positive. I feel myself getting scared, and then I just tell myself, "You're not scared. You're just excited."
What role did music play in this process? Because is that part of it, the fact that you can express these feelings and emotions through your songs? Did that help in that turnaround?
Yeah, well, I definitely think it's allowed me to sort of sink into being who I am as an artist. There have been times where it would have been way easier for me to just write a little love song that gets on radio. And I tried to write about things that were difficult, things that I've been through, like whether it's losing my dad or going through trying to have babies. That it's just but I always try and be subtle. I think I don't ever lay my sort of life out on the line that people can read it off the page, and that's what happened. I try and create a little bit of space between me and the song, at least a little bit, because if it's too personal, it just feels too personal. But yeah, I always put everything into the songs, but equally I try and give a little bit of space in the writing so that people can sort of put themselves in the song as well. But yeah, I think that it definitely helps practicing being scared, practicing being vulnerable, practicing sort of, feeling fear but ignoring it. That's all part of being an artist, really. And it's took me a long time to realize all those things. I just wanted to do well so bad that it stopped me from being creatively free. It made me just try and do what I thought people wanted from me. Whereas now I feel like I'm fulfilling both, really. I can write a song that I like the sound of and I'm into, and equally, and it can work on radio. So I feel like I'm trying to get to that special place where artistic freedom and creativity is there, but equally I'm coming up with results. It's like you want tunes people can remember and play, and hear and sing along to. So yeah, that's all I'm trying to do at this point now, is just to enjoy the process and enjoy going into the studio, enjoy making up tunes. And yeah, and it's finally come. So it's good.
Is that why you decided to do these refreshed versions of these songs then as well? Because as you mentioned, kind of, you're not the same musician as you were back then, and the decisions you would make now are different than you made back then. So
yeah, it was mainly because I didn't feel good about putting the recordings that are already out and that people have heard on radio for years anyway onto a CD, just as they are. It just didn't feel right. Felt like I was shortchanging people or something. So for my peace of mind in that respect, I wanted to re-record them. But yeah, you're right. The other aspect is I want people to know where I'm at now, what I sound like when I sing now live compared to how I did back then. It's two totally different things. So yeah, I just wanted to sort of bring a bit more of a live feeling to the album because no one's been to any gigs. I wanted to remind people of what I do live. So yeah, it was a nice way to kill two birds with one stone, really.
Right. And I saw a couple of clips of you doing in-store sessions recently. So being able to have that interaction with the crowd again, what was that like to just be in front of people again?
Great. It's kind of that's why it's just a simple thing of like a crowd interacting with an act on stage. it makes makes the whole night. It just makes it more interactive, rather than some nights you can play with a full band and you've got the full shebang and all the horns and everything, and it just feels like you're playing to a load of people, whereas when you're a crowd and they're joining with you, it just feels like you're all one thing. Like, I can't explain it. Yeah, it's like you're all together in it together. And when it's like that, it's the best feeling. It's the best feeling for everyone. It's the best feeling for me, and it's the best feeling for the crowd, because you just feed off each other. And I'd forgotten how powerful that is. Music by itself is an amazing thing. Even if you sat by yourself and you listen to some really good music, it's really powerful. But if you're with loads of other people who are like-minded and you're all listening to the same thing because you love it, something happens. I don't know. An energy gets sort of created, and I love that part of it. That's a kind of why I like singing. Really, is bringing that sort of unseen into your ears. Bringing those sort of emotions into people's ears. It's good.
When you went through this list of songs, and I'm sure there were some difficult decisions in which songs to include and which not to, but was there maybe?
Not really.
Okay.
Yeah,
Not
really, just because like the sort of the figures speak for themselves.
Fair enough.
Like the fact that there's all that sort of data online about what people like my songs, how many times they've streamed each song, what's their favourite song, and I got all that information beforehand. And actually, normally I would have sort of liked to have picked from the heart rather than from information, but I feel like I've got a duty to my fans to put on all their favourite songs, not my favourite songs. So that's kind of what I did. I just put on all the top favourites of my songs onto the album, because they're the ones that people listen to the most. And that was it, really. Okay. That's what made the decision. So I didn't really sweat over it at all. There were songs that I wanted on there. There's a few songs like Undiscovered or that I thought should have been on there. But, the figures speak for themselves. So I just trusted that the fans know what they're talking about, because they're the ones that buy my music. And so I just put on, the most popular songs I thought people would want to hear.
Okay. Going through these songs then, was there one that kind of, because I'm sure you play a lot of these live or have done over the years, but were there songs where you discovered new things in them, or what, maybe one that really that you kind of looked at and thought, oh, this was pretty awesome, actually, the fact that I made this song?
Well, there's a few different tunes on there. Every tune's different. But I was definitely surprised by Broken Strings. Okay. I thought, it's going to be a difficult one to tackle because everyone knows the song. It's been on radio and it's got that sort of beat, and Nelly Furtado's all there. And I just sort of tried to pull it back to the song arrangement of the song and just let the song do the talking. And actually, I think it's better. I'm not saying it's better without Nelly, because Nelly was a massive reason why that song did well, but it's nice to hear it in its sort of fundamentally sort of original form, which is just a song. It was never meant to be a duet. And so I thought I'd give people a version of it that is like that. But yeah, Up that I did was quite rocky. It's quite rocky. I didn't expect that. I thought it was going to sound just a meatier version of the one I did with Jessie J. But it sounds more meaty than I expected. It's a bit more heavy. But yeah, they're all different to the originals, and they all have their own little flavour, really. But I think the ones that stick out for me that I'm pleased with are Precious Love and Too Late for Lullabies. I think they're good songs and they sound meaty like a soul band playing them. And yeah, I just think they just sound more more strident. Like before, I was a bit like, I was young, I was 21, I was singing love songs, and I knew people weren't going to be massively into my shit because I was a young lad, And so it's took me a long time to feel confident in what I'm doing. But I definitely tried to capture some of that on the record and just be more in the pocket of the song and sort of owning the space a bit more, rather than being like, I'll do 3 takes and then just choose the best bits. I tried to just get 1 take that was banging and sort of do it that way, rather than piecing it all together like we did on the first album. Even though a lot of it was live, it was still pieced together. So I wanted to strip out all the bullshit from the production. Like, even though the horns are a massive part on some of them songs, I just wanted to bring it back to the words, the lyric, and the band just supporting me in the room, playing really well, but not overplaying. Just so you get like a live sounding record that is controlled, rather than like a really boring studio album or a super live record that is too live. You know, I wanted both. I wanted it to sound live, but I wanted it to have some control and some sort of experience with when to let the track go and when to not let it go, you know?
Yeah, and as you mentioned, I do think it with age, a lot of these songs and a lot of lyrics, they carry a little bit more weight with them, perhaps. And I wrote down one lyric from Too Late for Lullabies. There will be good times, there will be bad times, and everything in between. And which I love that, because it's so true, obviously. That's
from Please Don't Stop the Rain. That's it.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's right. No, that's right.
I wrote it next to the wrong song then.
To be fair, that lyric is literally like one of my most forgettable lyrics to me. I like the lyric about, it's a sad song that has no end. It's a bleeding heart that never mends. I can't remember how the whole lyric goes now. But yeah, there's definitely better lyrics than that one. Have a little dig about. But yeah, you know, it's a very simple way of saying that life is shit sometimes and life is good. But yeah, please don't stop the rain. Even though it's a pop song, that turned out pretty nice as well. So yeah, I think I'm just stoked that they still hold some weight, like you say, because I didn't know that they were going to. I went into it thinking this might be an absolute disaster, and I'm like, what am I doing re-recording these songs? But actually, I came away from it feeling like there's still some weight in them, and I feel like I've made them better. So it's a nice feeling. It's a nice feeling to have. Like, not only have I not shortchanged everyone, I give something new to listen to, and I'm proud of it. Yeah,
and then the fact, I suppose, that it reached I think number 6 on the album charts. That must feel good. Then that people still enjoy it, right?
Yeah, right. I mean, I didn't expect a top 10. So the fact I got a top 10 was amazing. Just a nice bit of icing on the cake, really. And I'm super grateful. Super grateful.
Yeah, what does that tell you about kind of, because we mentioned the reflecting, and what does that tell you about, and you've talked about this before, about the struggling with confidence and having doubts and those kind of things, but something like this where you bring out a greatest hits album, it's partly songs that have come out a long time ago, but people can still find a lot of joy in them. What does that mean to you?
It means a lot. I mean, it means a lot. It means that I'm doing my job. It means that I'm succeeding in what I'm trying to achieve. That's exactly all I've ever wanted to achieve, is to not be, super annoying, to put out songs that mean something to people and that aren't just catchy for the sake of being catchy, or say something deeper than just a pop song, to last in music, to have more than one song that people know and all of that stuff. And to have a good live reputation. All of that stuff is what I've been working towards. So it's an amazing feeling to finally feel like that's coming to fruition in whatever form. Whether I'm not as successful as I was in the beginning, it doesn't really matter to me anymore. It's more about me enjoying the process as an artist and to keep fulfilling my objective as an artist, which is to keep writing music I feel good about and keep doing it because I love it, not because I'll need money or want to be famous again.
Right.
So I feel like I've got a lot of freedom, which is amazing because I never felt that in the beginning. You know, I almost felt trapped by it. So now it's like it's much better, so much better.
That's very good to hear. So finally, then, you mentioned kind of writing new songs, and there are 2 new songs on the album. It opens with 2 new songs. So take me through the process of kind of writing these 2 new songs and adding them to that collection or that back catalog that you have. And is this Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go for it. Sorry, carry on.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, and is this a precursor to a new album down the road?
I mean, you know, kind of and not at the same time. Like, you know, when I finished Who's Gonna Love Me Now, I was like, this is really good. Like, it's different to what I've done before. It's got a sort of forward moving energy about it. It's just like you can just sit on the mic and sing it as hard as you want, and it sounds good. And that's kind of what I wanted from it. I just wanted like a tune that isn't so emotional, that has a drop in it, that is more a dance tune. And to sort of, you know, like a banging dance tune, and I just tried to sort of write something like that. And then the next one, Don't Mess With Love, is more traditional sort of soul pop, I guess. And the main difference with that one was that the verse to me sounded so summery and like R&B. I never really had a song like that. It's, you know, it's more like there's still that sort of slight tragic sort of lyric, and I guess that sort of ties in with the lyrics. Still, it is slightly tragic, but it's more tongue-in-cheek. I tried to just sort of, you know, do it like, don't mess with love, like, fuck you up. Don't mess with it. If it's good, leave it alone. Don't try and fuck with it. You know, that kind of idea. And I think it did all right. It's done all right for me, that song, even though I didn't really expect anything from it. I think people have been reacting to it well, and it sounds like a classic sort of tune. So that's good. That is really good. But yeah, I'm not sure about the direction. I don't think it's just, that's what I was doing at the time, you know. And whatever I'm doing next might be completely different, or it might be an offshoot from it. I'm not sure really. But at the minute, I like the idea of doing a couple of EPs with a different vibe on each one. You know, maybe one that's more sort of dark, sort of R&B, sort of rocky maybe, and maybe another EP that's a little bit slightly more sort of Americana country soul, you know. I don't know really until I start doing it. But I've definitely got a rough idea of a vibe for the next thing, which sounds more like more story sounding songs than sort of soul sort of ballads or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, you have this freedom now, so it's wide open in a way. You can do whatever you like.
So I can try some stuff. Yeah, it's nice. It's finally nice to have a bit of the pressure off, so I can have some room to try some shit, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
One last question that just popped into my mind then, because you mentioned the lyrics and earlier. Is there one line then out of your career that this is going to be terrible? But is there one line that you're really proud of, or that you maybe just a verse or something that you think I really nailed what I was trying to say here?
Yeah, I mean, there's a song called "In My Dreams" and a song called "Person I Should Have Been." Those 2 songs, to me in particular, sort of hit the nail on the head, really. Like "In My Dreams" is about me losing my dad, and waiting every night to have a dream about him because I missed him, and not having a dream about him. And that was a real thing. That was 100% a real thing that happened, and I wrote about it just because it was painful, you know, and it became this real cool song that I get to play a lot. You know, if I'm feeling really like, I'm playing too many pop songs, I always slip that one in because it's a real song, you know. Yeah, and it still gets me emotional, and it helps other people that have had, you know, dads die or their mums have died, or So that's nice. That's a nice one. I think the lyrics in it are really sweet. But yeah, in terms of poignant and sort of quite clever, I'm not the right person to ask. But yeah, I'd say Too Late for Lullabies, I'm pretty pleased with the lyric. I like the way that it flows. And I like simple sort of rhyme couplets and stuff, you know, where you have a double rhyme. Yeah, so I don't know. I can't say, because that's my songs. But yeah, one of them.
Fair enough. James, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down and talk with me. I wish you all the best. You'll be touring the UK, I believe, in March, and then you'll be coming over here in Europe in September. So yeah, great to see you back on stage.